The Carian royal family has always been thought to be larger than just Rennala and her demigod offspring. In the past, we've speculated that the snowy witch, Rennala, may have been a Carian, the grandmother of Ranni the Witch, but that assumption comes more from context clues than in-game lore. The Carian filigreed crest is said to have been awarded to Carian knights who served as direct retainers to the kingdom's princesses, plural. It even specifies that Ranni is the last Carian princess, so we know that at some point there were other princesses. Thanks to Shadow of the Erdtree, we now know the identity of one of these princesses, Rellana, the Twin Moon Knight, sister of the Carian queen, Rennala. When we fight her, we face the true might of Carian royalty, and see the strength of one who's found their own moon. But what bearing did she have on the lands between before finding her way to the Land of Shadow? Her sister held a prestigious position as leader of Raya Lucaria, so why is it Rellana did not follow in her footsteps? Perhaps she did, because the history of Rellana is that of a woman falling for a man with fiery red hair and working to make his goals a reality. Today, we explore the life of Rellana, the Twin Moon Knight, her relation to the Golden Order, and Mesmer the Impaler. Welcome to Elden Lore, our weekly series where we explore the people, places, and royalty of the lands between. If this is your first time finding the channel, we're glad to have you with us. And if you've been here before, thanks for the continued support. I read every comment on these videos, so if you end up enjoying this style of lore diving, and there's a topic you'd like us to look into, just let us know. We also have a Discord where our community of FromSoft fans come together to talk about the lore of Elden Ring, Dark Souls, and any other Soulsborne game. If you end up enjoying this video, please consider subscribing to the channel. But no pressure. Your viewership is always more than enough. With that said, let's get back to the story at hand. The tale of Rellana starts long ago, likely sometime after Rennala took over as the head of Raya Lucaria. The incantation Rellana's Twin Moons tells us it's a sorcery of Rellana, the Twin Moon Knight, associated with a Carian princess. Incarnate overlapping twin moons, which strike the ground one after the other, violently shaking the earth with moonlight. In her childhood, she and her elder sister Rennala met these moons, overlapping as though nestled against one another. I believe this event, where the sisters walked side by side encountering these moons, happened after Rennala became the Carian queen, because of the description of Rennala's full moon. Sorcery associated with the Carian queen uses the caster as a vessel to incarnate a full moon, then sends it floating towards foes. The full moon dispels all sorcery that touches it. Queen Rennala encountered this enchanting moon when she was young, and later, it would bewitch the academy. This description calls out only one moon, the full moon, which Rennala was then able to use to earn her place at the head of the academy. I believe much like she did for her daughter, Rennala took her sister to see the moon when she was young, so that she could discover her own version of this incantation. This trip bore fruit, as Rellana discovered the twin moons, and from that point on, devoted herself to her studies, so that she could wield their power. We know this to be the case because of the High Priest hat worn by Count Ymir. The hat of Count Ymir, High Priest. The circular design at the top represents the Greater Will and its lightless abyss, imparting increased intelligence and arcane to the wearer. Though Count Ymir instructed Rellana in the sorcerous arts, he abandoned his allegiance to the moon. It was merely the closest of the celestial bodies, nothing more. So Ymir was Rellana's personal tutor, and it seems his knowledge paid off, as she would come to be known as a formidable knight. During the Second Liurnian War, a peace accord was struck that would see the Carian queen marry a champion of the Golden Order. The marriage of Rennala and Radagon solidified peace between the capital and the academy, and it was during this time that Rellana decided to make a show of fealty to the Golden Order through ritual combat. The ritual shield talisman tells us the practice of ritual combat had died out by the age of King Consort Radagon, but remains of the arenas where ritual combat took place can still be found in every land. When also taking into account the ritual sword talisman, we can see that swords and shields were the symbol of this rite, and this was a popular ritual amongst the strong in the lands between. Perhaps this is why Rellana entered into combat using the Carian thrusting shield. As both a sword and a shield, it could be seen as the perfect weapon for these matches. Silver thrusting shield embedded with glintstones enables the wielder to attack and guard simultaneously. Once wielded by Rellana, the Twin Moon Knight, during her sole entry into ritual combat, a demonstration of fidelity to the Erd Tree. Why exactly she would pledge herself to the Golden Order as a member of the Carian royal family is unclear, but there's one possibility. Perhaps, just perhaps, a certain red-haired demigod, one that looked much like his sister's husband, had caught her eye, and she wanted to show her devotion to his cause, or maybe her devotion to him. After we face Rellana in battle, we are granted her remembrance, which tells us it's the remembrance of Rellana, the Twin Moon Knight, hewn into the Skadu tree. Once a Carian princess, Rellana disavowed her birthright and chose to stand at Mesmer's side instead, knowing full well that not even the brilliance of the moon could grant him succor. Before long, she became known as the Sword of Mesmer. This wording is interesting as it can be taken multiple ways. It could be that Rellana had a romantic relationship with Mesmer and stood by his side as his lady, or it could be that she simply wished to lift his burden, knowing she could never truly do so, and settling for being his blade. Whether or not the two were romantically involved is left ambiguous, but her feelings for Mesmer are clear when we look at the other items describing her time leaving the lands between for the Land of Shadow. Ornate helm of Rellana, the Twin Moon Knight, fashioned from silver steel. Rennala, head of the royal family of Caria, was said to have given her younger sister, who renounced her lineage to chase after Mesmer, a gift of lustrous black hair. The hair flowing from this helm is almost definitely that which the description mentions, but more importantly, this tells us Rellana chased after Mesmer, not that she followed him into the Land of Shadow. This paints a picture of Rellana having already developed feelings for Mesmer, learning of his crusade only after it had begun, and deciding to give up her place as a Carian royal in order to follow him. Interestingly, this is an act Rennala seems to have supported, with her gift of black hair acting as a form of approval, pushing her sister to follow the path she believes is best. Of course, Rellana does not take this trip alone. Rellana's cameo tells us it is a talisman featuring a gallant portrait of Rellana, the Twin Moon Knight, engraved as a reminder of the unparalleled devotion of those who left their homelands to serve Rellana. By your leave, we will accompany you wherever your lunar vessel takes you. Rellana took a number of Lazuli sorcerers, as well as Ymir and her personal Carian knight, Moonrathil, along with her, where they would eventually establish themselves in Castle Ensis. Seemingly all who followed her stayed by her side after she was named the Sword of Mesmer, aside from Ymir, who found his own path after coming to the Land of Shadow. One piece of evidence against the idea that Rellana and Mesmer were together romantically comes in the form of Rellana's twin blades. Carian light greatsword embedded with blue glintstone, weapon of Rellana, the Twin Moon Knight, two swords as a single armament. When two-handing, a straight sword engraved with golden flame will be carried in the left hand. Here and here alone were moon and fire ever together. That wording, here and here alone, could imply that Mesmer was not able to return Rellana's affection. The two swords she carries are of different styles, one being a Carian sword embedded with a deep blue glintstone, and able to cast glintstone light waves. The other being gold and depicting twisted snakes, able to bathe the area around you in fire. If the Blade of Flame was given to her by Mesmer, along with her place at his side as his knight, this could be a sort of consolation prize for her unrequited love. While he could not love her back, he could see her strength and devotion, even admire it, and grant her the closest station there was as his knight, even giving her Castle Ensis, so she could defend the route to the Shadowkeep, keeping safe the man she loved above all others. This, however, is only one interpretation. Regardless of whether you believe Rellana and Mesmer could be together, it's undeniable that she set aside her life, her family, her station as royalty, for the man that housed the abyssal serpent within his flesh. Even so, she never forgot her home or her sister, as she still wears the helm with Rennala's hair woven into it, and her very own armor shows how deeply she still cares for her Carian roots. Rellana's armor is the ornate armor of Rellana the Twin Moon Knight, fashioned from silver steel. Adorned with the lapis lazuli blue that is symbolic of Caria, its radiance is yet to fully fade. She proudly wears the colors of Caria and maintains her armor as best she can. After all this time, there is no rust. The shine of her armor is not faded, meaning she must take excellent care of it. Aside from this, we can see in various areas of Castle Ensis, it's been adorned with banners of Carian blue containing Mesmer's symbol, a show of fealty to her lord and a reminder of her past. In the end, as powerful as Rellana is, she seems almost shackled to others, keeping her from truly being her own person. First, she was connected to her sister, a seemingly loving relationship to be sure, but one where she could only discover new power through her aid, hence the development of her twin moons. After this, she became shackled by her love for Mesmer, again expressing it through the imagery of twins, this time in the form of blades. Rellana exists alongside others, never standing as her own moon, forever in the shadow of those she loves. Hence the Twin Moon Knight lived to fight for others, and eventually fell at the hands of a lowly Tarnished, hell-bent on making their way to the Shaded Castle, so that they might steal the embers of Mesmer's flame. Ultimately, Rellana failed in her duties. She failed to protect her sister from Radagon's machinations, and she failed to defend Mesmer from those who would do him harm. But really, what chance did she have? Those she loved were always doomed to be crushed beneath the heel of the Golden Order. At the very least, she decided for herself who she would wield her blade for, and in that, I'm sure she found solace. Thank you for joining us for our exploration of Rellana, the Twin Moon Knight, former Carian Princess and sister of the Carian Queen. Do you believe that the story of Rellana and Mesmer is one of unrequited love? Or were they closer than the written lore would have you believe? What was it about Mesmer that made Rellana throw away her station as a Carian princess? Why were her twin moons not regarded as a sorcery powerful enough to make her the head of Raya Lucaria Academy? Did the rise Celavis finds himself in once belong to Rellana? Let us know your thoughts and theories in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the bell, and set notifications to all so you never miss out on any of our lore dives. We look forward to seeing you again for more Elden Lore.